Let's follow up on processes then. I have a copy of the autopsy that I've given you in the past. Towards one of the recommendations of this particular autopsy, and you've said in the past you don't solicit autopsies, and this comes back to processes. This was the recommendation of the coroner. A possible therapeutic implication of this case might be that sarcoid patients receive an echocardiogram prior to Pfizer mRNA COVID vaccination to detect cardiac involvement, or that alternative vaccination types are considered. Now, this particular person died in July 2021.
Senator, can I just check with the chair? I think I'm going to take your guidance, but it feels this is item output 1.8, and whether you want to handle it here in the cross-portfolio matters or handle it in that section of the agenda.
If that's where it legitimately belongs, we do have quite a few hours,
okay.
so I can pop
I
you
won't
on
be
the list
long,
for that.
and this is pretty much just
so we've got the right
question,
officials for you. Yeah.
But it's just the reason why I want to connect TGA to the Health Department, Mr Conley, is that it's very important that there's oversight by the Health Department of the TGA. So while I accept that these questions will be directed at the TGA later tonight, I want to see that the Health Department is actually doing its job in reviewing the processes undertaken by the TGA. That's why I'm bringing it up now, because I want to demonstrate what you just said, where you say you have processes that demonstrate a duty of care, yet here we have an autopsy report early on in the rollout of the vaccine that recommended, forget the fact that you didn't even solicit this autopsy report, you didn't report on it, I'm talking about what the recommendation was that people with sarcoid patients get an echocardiogram before getting the vaccine. Now, we know that thousands, if not tens of thousands of people have got myocarditis, pericarditis, etc. This is an example, in my view, of how the TGA didn't follow up or didn't have proper processes in place to get feedback from doctors who performed autopsies in relation to deaths related to the vaccine. So my question to you is, what are you going to do as the head of the Health Department, and you're almost on $1 million a year to do that, what are you going to do to make sure the TGA does their job in examining feedback from people injured by medications? Doesn't matter whether or not it's the vaccine, in general.
So I'll ask Professor Lawler to comment on this and the interaction. I think obviously the TGA is actually part of the Health Department. It is effectively a group within the Health Department, and so I oversee that in the same way I oversee other parts of the department. But it's also the case with the TGA, there's specific legislation that gives them certain powers, and in those cases it actually would not be appropriate for me to exercise those decisions. So I just asked Professor Law to expand a little bit on how we handle that distinction between the TGA and the department.
Thank you, Secretary. Professor Anthony Lawler, Chief Medical Officer and Deputy Secretary, Health Products Regulation. As we've discussed previously, Senator, in this place, the TGA, as the Secretary highlights, is a structural unit within the department. So I appreciate the attempt to tie the TGA to the department. The TGA is tied to the department. As the Secretary highlights, we operate under statute, and that gives us certain powers but also certain obligations. We've discussed the autopsy report previously. There are some recommendations within that. The process we follow to approve vaccines to maintain a robust pharmacovigilance program, which, as I've stated previously, has meant that the COVID vaccines have been the most scrutinised medicines that have been rolled out in the country, and the way in which we respond to that, including the incorporation of autopsy reports and the investigation through vaccine safety investigation groups, is probably, with your agreement, Chair, discussed best under outcome 1.8, because it doesn't go to the structure of the department, it goes to the outcome under which the TGA sits.
Okay, I'll leave it at that.
Authorised G. Rennick People First Chermside.